Welcome to Nightmares Before Bed, a supernatural podcast where each show will explore dark and mysterious places, eerie creatures, and all things spooky and creepy. And speaking of spooky and creepy, please help me welcome your hosts Jonathan Rosen and Troy Cannon.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Nightmares Before Bed. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Rosen, along with Troy Cannon. And today we are going, well, I should let you, today's creepy. I really think today is creepy. And it was your idea, so I'm going to let you introduce it.
There are centers of power all over the world. There are tombs, there are crypts, there are ley lines, and there are haunted locations. This particular haunted location is considered Japan's most haunted location. Is the Aokigahara Forest, also known as the Sea of Trees, but most commonly known as the Suicide Forest. For the last couple hundred years, 300 or 400 years, this forest has been there, and people will go into it and be compelled to kill themselves. Terrible, terrible thing. Some people go into the forest and are never seen again. Some people, they know without a doubt they went to kill themselves because the police often find cars. Maybe the engine is still running, or maybe the keys are just left in the car because these people know I'm not coming back to this car. So they leave it there. It's 30 square kilometers, so it's a huge place. It's on the flank side of Mount Fuji. We're a military family.
Right.
And my wife was in the Air Force at the time, and she was there. And we were talking, using video chat all the time. We talked all the time. And she told me, she's like, hey, have you ever, also called the Forest of Despair, have you ever heard of the Forest of Despair? And I was like, yeah, because I was into that stuff. That stuff motivates me. It's interesting. Not as interesting as comic books, but fairly interesting. So I was like, yeah, man. And she's like, well, I'm thinking about going there. I was like, if you go there, you may not come back, man. It's, there's a lot of people that go there and they never come back. There's been almost 2,000 deaths in that forest. Don't go. And she's like, nah, I'm going to go. And while we're talking, and I'm trying to convince her not to go, the power went off. The video feed stopped. Everything stopped. And I was thinking to myself, well, the gods of the forest just cut the power so they can trick her to go. But what had happened was the Fukushima accident, the nuclear accident, the tidal wave, and all that stuff happened while we were talking. So she was getting ready to go to the forest of suicide, kill yourself, and the freaking island blew up. So I'm like, I saved you twice, because if you'd have gone to that forest, you'd have probably been finger across the throat. Plus, if you would have been on the road, the road that she was going on, we later saw get hit with the tidal wave. And I watched it with my daughter when she was younger. And she's like, Daddy, what are those little things? And I was like, those are cars. It just wiped everything out. Later, she was a part of the cleanup crew and everything. But this forest, it's interesting. It's intriguing, mostly because I'm not there.
That's one of the things that really got to me, is that so many people, like you said, there are so many deaths. So many people have gone there for suicide. And I understand that it becomes part of the lore, that now, because it has this history, that people go there for this reason, when they're feeling despondent or feeling sad there too. But I've also read some of the same things that you did, that you have this overwhelming feeling of sadness there. And when you get there, and if you're like kind of not in a good state of mind, it can get you over to that, really dark place. And, we've all gone through these dark times. We've all gone through these dark places, these dark periods. And don't go there. Don't go there. There's a sign at the front. I think there are several signs the sign behind me is that shows that the government has put up signs, to seek help instead when you're feeling this way. It's so creepy, but it's also so sad. But when there's so many, I don't know if it's like, it's over 1,000, and you said closer to 2,000 that you've read now too. And I think they started keeping track of this like in the 60s. There was like a book about it in the 60s or something, and then and that's where it started gaining popularity. But even before the book came out, it was reported that at this forest, that people were committing suicide at this forest. And so I don't understand it leads to the lore, but it's such a sad thing to see when you're going there. It really, they had the Logan Paul did the video, and that I remember. I remember when he did this, that he did the YouTube video when he went there and he found a dead body and showed it, and he got like a lot of flack for that. And I get that. I think I understand that being in poor taste, but I can understand the other side of it too. That him showing, hey, look what we found here. We came here for this, and look what we found right here. So I understand that also, but why put yourself into that spot? And I don't know if you would go there or not, but I feel like it's a lot. It would take me a lot to go there right now.
Say, I would go there. I'm not going in the forest. Right. But I would go into the parking lot because there's probably some really cool cars there just sitting there with the keys in it. And if I want a new car, it just costs me
such a dark.
Instead of spending 40 grand here, I could spend 3 grand, go to Japan and get a brand new car because they're just sitting there with the keys in it.
They're showing. I'm looking at the notes here of this too. Right, we said about the book, and there was a movie made about it. This is a film, Sea of Trees, and that. But they said it's such a dense forest too that it's so easy to get lost in there, and that even now that people who know kind of what they're doing, like mark the trees, and it's like a fairy tale. It's like like a little like a Hansel and Gretel type thing that you're getting lost in the woods right there. But with so many deaths there, people going for this sad reason, it stands to reason, such a place of despair, that there would be ghosts. There would be, hauntings about this. When you're putting yourself through that trauma at the end of your life, it just stands to reason. And these are not, we talked about before on the show, whether it be nice ghosts or evil ghosts. And here's the thing, because of so many things, the way that they're going out, all the accounts of this place these are vengeful ghosts. These are not happy ghosts, of course, because of the way they're going out. It's not some accident. It's purposely going to end a life that these ghosts come out. They're not happy. So that's one of the things that leads, I said before, I would go to haunted places, and I have gone to haunted places. But when I know that these are not happy spirits, I always think twice about this type of stuff.
Sense there. Initially, I blame the Buddhist monks.
Yes.
Because the very first person that was recorded to go into the forest and unalive himself was a Buddhist monk named Shokai. Shokai went into the forest, and the Buddhist monk had a thing where they thought that you could get enlightenment when you were on the cusp of death. You would see things and experience things that you could bring back to the lands of the living. So they often would go out and they would starve themselves for several days, and right as they were on the cusp of dying, I guess they would have a sandwich or something, I'm not sure, but they would bring themselves back And they would come back and tell people about their experiences. Oh, I saw lights and I did this and that. So this guy Shokai was doing that, but they said he probably intentionally killed himself. It could have been an accident because they were always trying to get right on the edge, but he died in a forest. So his spirit is one of the spirits that's out there, whispering in people's ears, hey man, life sucks. You got to pay taxes next week. And they kill themselves. So you've got Shokai out there killing himself. And you mentioned the markers. And there
are a lot more markers now than just the one. There are markers all over.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Right.
And the story of the Minotaur, the hero is going to go into the maze to kill the Minotaur. When he goes into the maze, he's like, shoot, I'm not going to be able to find my way back. So he thinks about his love, Arani. And he's like, okay, I'm thinking about her, so I want to come back. So what I'm going to do is tie a rope in the opening. And as I walk, even if I get lost, I just need to follow the rope back. Right. So now when you go into the forests or everywhere, mostly here in America, we just say breadcrumbs, from the Hansel and Gretel, you leave some breadcrumbs. But most of the places call them Arani markers. You're leaving a trail so you can find it. So in Japan, they call them the Arani markers. There's you can go into the forest and you can see like blue streams of cloth or rope or something where some poor soul told themselves, I'm going to find my way back out of here, and never did, because the police go there and they find these different trails and they're like, oh, no, you know what? I don't think this one was here yesterday. And they follow them and it leads to someone who did not make it out. Right. So that's one of the ways that the police have been able to track and find these bodies. But you mentioned a YouTuber. I watched a video with a YouTuber that went there, and he's got apparently a little bit more money than we have to travel because he goes all over the world traveling.
Once this takes off, we'll start going to different places. Yes,
we've got to. We got to start traveling the world, man.
Yes.
If that dude can do it. But and here's that. I think he had like 200,000 views. So it wasn't like millions. He just had like 200,000 views. But he goes there with his friends, and he takes his cell phone and he puts it on Google Translate. And he's out there with one of those audio recorders. And he's, where you do the thing where you speak, and then hopefully a ghostly voice will be put on the audio, and you listen to it later. But while they were out there, and I mean, it could have been fake, but I think it was real. I think it was an authentic thing. He had like 5 cameramen with him and everything. And he's there and he's asking questions like, is there anyone here? And then you hear something in Japanese and his phone says, help. So something spoke. It got recorded. It was loud enough that the Google Translate heard it, and it translated. It was like, help. And it was saying all kinds of things. They were asking questions. I think they asked like maybe 20 questions, and like 7 times there was an answer. So I'm like, first answer, I would have said, oh, well, that's it. Good night.
I'm out.
But, these guys are risking death, life and limb. But there's stuff out there, man. I think this place has really got stuff out there.
Well, one of the things is that they also said is that it interferes with cell phone usage there. That there's something in there, like, because of the deposits, the iron deposits, something that it does interfere a lot with the cell phone signal or usage. So that's another reason why. If I'm not like one of the other, if I'm going through a forest and I know that I have no way to contact anyone, I'm probably not doing that either. Okay, my adventure side only goes so far right now. It's, I want to be able to have contact with people on the outside. And, like I said before, I see how there could be, spirit. If you believe in spirits, and, if you're watching this, you probably do. You and I do. But if you believe in that, this place would bother me just because of the darkness about it. Because so many people have gone there. So there is something about this place that's just reeks of despair, reeks of sadness. And if you're feeling that way, I mean, really, like you said before, definitely seek help before you're going to something like this. So call those numbers, but seek some counsel before going in there. And I've been to dark places before in my mind, and I don't know if you have, but it's like not to that extent. I never thought of doing self harm, but but easy. If you're feeling already down, it's easy to get to that next level. I don't know. Stay away from these type of places if that's what you're feeling. Don't go into these type of places. And I don't know if you would go. I mean, what do you think now? Would you go? I mean, we love all this stuff. We love haunted places. Knowing this history, and I think I probably would walk in just to the woods, maybe daytime, definitely not nighttime. I would walk in and I don't know how deep I would go in there, but I don't think I'd be going really deep or at night to be looking for spirit.
Because as like I said before, when people look for stuff, sometimes they find it.
Right.
And if you're going into the woods looking for ghosts and demons and monsters, and the only thing you brought with you was a backpack and a sandwich, you're not really prepared to find the thing that you're looking for. So yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not certain that I would venture in there. After the guy Shokai, unalived himself, it became a place where a lot of Japanese people that had a baby but did not want a baby would abandon it.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even read that part. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's terrible. And the elders of the village, once they became no longer useful, I saw a picture. The guy had like his grandmother or somebody on his back, and he'd wander into the village, into the forest, and he'd leave her there. And I'm thinking, an old folks' home? They didn't have orphanages or something like that. Right. I'm glad we got those today, because it would suck if I called my mom and said, "Hey, you're going to the forest." I don't think that would play well. But there are so many potential spirits and forces. I mean, people say that they've seen dark shadows.
Right. I read that.
In the dark, you see that. I mean, I just took a trip yesterday where I drove 14 hours, and just your mind, just having nothing to really focus on, you see stuff. And it's daytime. I'm wide awake. I'm driving, but I've been awake for 11 hours. I'm driving, and I could swear I was seeing cars that weren't there. And I'm just, your mind plays tricks on you. So right. In that forest, the trees are so high, the sunlight doesn't really get in there. Your mind could play tricks on you. So maybe that's what they're saying. But see, people have seen orbs. They've seen dark figures. They've seen a woman in all white and a kimono walking through there, and that doesn't seem right. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just so much dark energy in that one spot.
That's exactly to me. They said it's not right. We mentioned the highest in Japan, but it's supposedly the second largest rate of suicide, that people go for suicide after the Golden Gate Bridge. That's what I was reading there. And and you could find, and if you go to look on the internet, you could find images of the deaths there. I mean, if you go into those spots, and it's not that difficult to find, you could find images of dead bodies that they found there, and the notorious, like we mentioned before, the YouTube video with that was shown on that too. So it's fairly easy to find, and people go there a lot to do this. And I can't imagine just going to seek out dead body. If I'm there, I say one of the things there is they warn you to stay on the path, because if you venture off the path, it's very easy to get lost. And you said you and I were talking before, and you went to the Stanley Hotel recently, which from one of our other shows, and you went to that maze. You said you got lost in that maze, right?
Yeah, the maze is like it was the size. It wasn't exactly like the movie, so it didn't have the 4 foot thick brush that was 11 foot tall. It was like maybe a foot thick, half a foot thick, and it was maybe just shorter than I am. So if I grabbed it and got up on my toes, I could look over it. And I got lost, man. I pushed my way through it. And this guy was on the other side when I was coming through, and he kind of looked at me. He's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "I will be in a minute," because I was thinking I'm just going to keep going straight until I get out of there, because I'm not getting lost in that thing. Yeah, you could get lost in that,
That's why if you get lost in like something like that, and they're warning you on this in this forest to stay on the path, otherwise you could get lost going off this path. I'd listen to that, and you don't know where you're going, and it's such a creepy place. The mind can start playing tricks on you, whether there's something there or not. The mind can start playing tricks on you in there. So like I said, I could see how very easily people could get into this state of mind there, this state of mind of despair, and whether there's something there or not, how you can let it play with your mind. And again, I don't know if I would show. I don't think. I don't. Not that I don't think I wouldn't. If I went there and found like a dead body, I couldn't show that to people. I couldn't, and that would haunt me. That would really haunt me myself. So I couldn't film it to show someone else. I think that's just bad karma. If you're showing it, showing it to other people that, hey, here's someone dead. This was their last spot, their last moments, and I'm going to broadcast it to the world. And one of the reasons that, I read that people do go out there is because it's the solitude. They're hoping not to be found for, they just want that last moment alone. They don't want they don't want people finding them. So it's going against their last wishes as well. But there is so much darkness here. Just really, I mean, this is, like you just said, bad energy, really bad energy to have to be in this place.
when I was in the service, I did a lot of things that I would not do today. I jumped out of a perfectly good airplane. I should not have done that, but it was what we had to do. I walked inbound while somebody was firing weapons outbound. Normally, I would not have done that. Today, not being forced or encouraged to do something ridiculous, I would not jump out of an airplane today. I would not go on.
I didn't even know you did that. I'm going to have to ask you about that at some point.
We'll talk about it. I didn't have to. I wouldn't go to a safari and try to find a tiger or a lion so I could maybe shoot it or see it or whatever. I would not go to a forest where more than 1,000 people have unalived themselves. If I'm not really encouraged to do it, there's not a big chance that I would. If I hit the lottery and I had the financial ability to do anything I wanted, there are a bunch of things I would like to do that I'm not going to do. I'm not going to go on an Autobahn and get on a motorcycle and zoom, because you could die. And then what good is the money? I'm not going, like I said, a safari. There's things that just make sense to me that you should not do. Now, I'll watch somebody else do it, because I've seen people climb over the fence at zoos and get attacked by polar bears and stuff. And I look at it on YouTube and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But I wouldn't do it. That forest, when I hear about all those people walking in there, I do the same thing. I'm looking at it. I'm like, wow, that's why are they doing that? But I wouldn't do it. There are things that just make sense to me that you shouldn't do. And that forest just screams at me, don't do it. Right. The closest I would maybe do is it's just a few steps in, just to kind of look around and be able to say, yeah, I did it. Or maybe send a drone in and fly a drone around. No, if the drone gets lost, I'll just put the remote down and leave. I can get out of that. I'm not walking in there knowing it's like walking into a forest. It's got tigers. There's a potential that I could die. There's no way I would walk in that forest knowing there's a potential that I could die. How could I live with myself knowing that I took me away from the rest of the world? That's not a sacrifice I can make.
Well, I wouldn't go on. By the way, on the Autobahn, I wouldn't go on a motorcycle. I have gone on in the UK. There's like a highway that you can go like there are basically no speed limits. So I did draw. I had to do it once. I did the over the 100 miles an hour once over there.
Okay.
So I did do that. On a motorcycle, I don't know if I would because there's no. I don't feel that protection around me. It's like the same thing
Yeah.
because if I'm going to crash, there's no like hunk of metal, at least a layer. It's me. I'm the layer. That's getting smashed. But yeah, but kudos to you for jumping out of an airplane because there's no scenario I could see that I would ever do this. None. But yeah, the same thing. It's just, and first of all, we might be the only hosts of any spooky or macabre YouTube show that's saying we're not doing this, we're not doing that. we're both older and have kids, but no, I don't see myself doing that. It's like I said, I'd be interested in going to this place for sure. I would, and maybe I'd go venture a little bit in during the day just to see. But I can't see myself doing it at night. I really can't, and just because of that energy around it, knowing that so many people have gone there for the specific reason of ending their lives. And like we said before, if you're in a dark place already, it's very easy to go to that next step. It's far too easy to go to the next step. Well, you got to be in a good frame of mind to go to this place, I think. And I know not everyone believes in this stuff, but just knowing how many people have done this there and how dark the energy is, I don't know if I'm in any bad state of mind how I would go.
Yeah, it's too much for me. I enjoy reading about it. I enjoy having that knowledge,
right.
But to put myself in that danger is just, at any time that I die, I probably had something better to do tomorrow. So
yeah.
I don't want to. It's not my thing. I'm not. I want to talk about it. I want to learn about it. I want to, maybe even see it from a safe distance. But I'm not. I don't think I want to go. My wife wanted to. She was gonna, she was just gonna walk right through the forest. And I guess we probably wouldn't have kids today because I don't know she'd have made it out of there. Well, actually, I guess they had the nuclear explosion and the tsunami, so I guess she would not.
He would have. Well, yeah, I think we covered it. But again, if you're feeling that dark, and like I said, many of us have, first seek help instead of doing some of these things. But don't go to this place, and that's specifically what a lot of people do. And they said the police are on high alert, always checking out if you look like suspicious in any way that you might be there for that. The police are very quick to intervene right now, just because of the history, because they are so aware of it. But let us know what you think. If anyone has been there, we'd love to hear it. If you heard of it, what you think, you believe, not believe, but let us know. Let us know in the comments. And I think we're covered today, right? We got it. We said everything.
I think so.
Okay. Well, again, thanks for watching. This has been Nightmares Before Bed. I'm Jonathan Rosen with Troy Cannon. And again, please like, comment, and subscribe.
Subscribe.
Thank you for watching Nightmares Before Bed. And now, it's time to shut the lights, close your eyes, and go to sleep. If you can.